G'day folks, Ziggy D here. By the end of this video, you'll have more currency than when you started watching, because it turns out you actually have more currency than you think you do in Path of Exile, and this is something I find people running into and discovering a lot after they've been playing for a while. If you've been mapping for, since League launch, even just casually, you probably have quite a bit more than you think. It's pretty tempting to just look in your currency tab and not see any exalts. Maybe you don't have any exalts, so you don't have any chaos. You only got like 10 chaos there or something. You think, oh, I'm so broke, I can't get anything. And you actually probably have quite a bit more tucked away in things that you don't really tend to think of as currency. I like this new tab folder system because it allows me to put together all the things that I should be thinking of as currency together. And that helps group them in my mind. And let me show you something here. So this application here is called Excellence Next. It's a cute little third-party app. As with all third-party apps in Path of Exile, install and use them at your own risk. There's always the risks that they could have malicious software and etc. I've been using this one for a while, and it's pretty cool. It helps a lot with discovering this kind of hidden currency that you have in your stash tabs, as well as it's really fun for just kind of like watching numbers go up, because, that's what Path of Exile is all about. When you're just grinding currency, it can be a bit boring if you're not actually really tracking it, but when you're actually seeing it go up and you see your hourly income be like 500 cows per hour, it's very satisfying. But as you can see here, it's like, puts my net worth here at 3,300 cows, and you might look at the currency tab and not really think that that's there. This helps a lot. I track the following tabs. My currency tabs, I'll show you in game, it's easier. My currency tabs, divination tabs, map fragment tabs is a big one. Essences, fossil stuff. These extra things I call juice, which is like eggs and the new vessels and things like prophecies and Maven's invitations. Stuff that don't really fit anywhere else, especially a lot of these like things which really should fit in the fragment tab. Hopefully GGG fixes that. And things like blighted maps and oils, especially metamorph things. The organs not so much, but catalysts are big money. And delirium orbs and simulacrum splinters, that sort of stuff. These are all currency. You might not really think of them as a currency because they're like something that you use for something else. But effectively, all of this stuff is just currency of different forms. It's the same it's as currency as much as, say, an alchemy is currency as well, because you can convert currency into chaos. The trade medium typically. Although you might not be inclined to be like, hey, I'd like to buy your 6-link Death's Opus. Would you accept, 57 verdant oils? That's not exactly going to happen, but these things are very easy to exchange into actual trade currency, Chaos Orb and Exalted Orbs. So back to Excellence, pretty cool little app. It allows you to really get a good picture of this because you can have a look at your total value. You can sort by total value here. And you can see where your value is resting. So some of the stuff's pretty obvious. Like obviously I've got some chaos and exalts and alts. So like 170 chaos worth of alts. Okay. I've got 150 chaos worth of fusings, 130 chaos worth of jewelers. I've apparently got 100 chaos worth of amber oils. I'd probably 3-to-1 those up before trying to do some sale just because there's so much bulk there. Same with clear oils. Some of this stuff is not super accurate because people aren't really going to go out of their way to buy a bunch of clear oils. But you yourself can quite easily exchange those up to the higher tier versions of things. Same with essences. Anything that you can 3-to-1 upwards, you can just kind of exchange yourself up. So some of this stuff's not super accurate because it does track things like transmutes and stuff that you're not really going to sell, even if you have a bunch of them. Certainly a lot of things people will buy in bulk. People will buy jewelers and fusings in bulk. They will buy alts. Hell, even sometimes people will buy augments if they're doing a lot of alting. They'll need to, but not so much things like transmutes and stuff like that. But a lot of that stuff is actually currency that you might not really think about. So pretty cool is doing something like this. You can type in the category of something or like a name that is common to all of them, and you can actually sort by that. So if I type in essence, I can use this to track my essence tab and see I have 55 chaos worth of deafening essences of greed. Ritual's really paying out in greed essences at the moment. Well, like in deafening essences in general, so I have a lot of those. 25 chaos worth of deafening essences of zeals. It's like I've got some chase item I want to buy for, 2x for my build, but I don't have 2x sitting around in my tab. It's actually very quick to actually find that exalts here through these other tabs. So if I type in fragment, we can track things like our fragments. I can see I've got a pretty easy 40, 50, 60, 80 chaos or so in fragments. Splinters is another easy one we can do. So we can type in and sort this. We've got 60, 80, 100, yeah, we could probably scrape together 200 chaos there in splinters pretty easily, or at least 100 chaos, no problem. You can even see the filter total here. It says we have 200 chaos total in things that are named splinters. We can even see over here on the tab breakdown chart, like kind of where all our currency is. So we've got most currency in our currency tab, obviously. But Blight, whoa, there's a lot of stuff in Blight. So if we type in oils, we can see kind of like total, there's like 480 chaos worth of oils. Now, again, this is not super accurate because like clear oils, you're not really going to trade, but there's no reason why we can't plus this up, let it recalculate after a second, and then be like, okay, now I'll trade, summon my verdant oils and things like that. These ones you don't sell in bulk too much, except for things like teal and crimson oils. People will buy those in bulk because they can be used on blighted maps. I personally use them on blighted maps because I find them very fun and profitable. Another cool way to get a bit of a picture of things that you might not have expected to be worth something is to sort by price, so you can find your highest price things. So some of this stuff's going to be obvious, like Exalted Orb, Golden Oil, and you'd be like, oh, Chayula Breachstone's worth 40C. The Pure Breachstone's 35C. Prime maybe you didn't know Prime Resonators are actually worth, 20C. Silver Oils, you can kind of go down and see, hey, maybe I should sell off my Ancient Orbs. I didn't really think about those. I've got 2 of those. That's 26 easy chaos I can put towards some item I need. All these Delirium Orbs are actually worth quite a bit. You can scroll down through this stuff and maybe catch some things you didn't really notice. Move over to some of the later pages and you'll find things like, hey, these blight maps are actually worth a few chaos a pop each. I've got a whole bunch of these and these are 5 chaos each. So that's like some easy money. Even things like divination cards, so you don't have to go through and like manually price each divination card and be like, hey, wow, these Sephiroth cards are 5C each. I wasn't probably going to build a set of those. I might as well sell them to someone else who will. Draped in Dreams, 5C, easy stuff. Fertile Catalysts, 4C a pop. I've got 4 of those. Pretty good way to kind of like track and find a lot of this hidden wealth that is just sitting around in like all of our tabs, basically. It's funny, over time, it's definitely shifted away from me making most of my currency from like IDing and selling rares. Like I ID much fewer rares these days, of course. And I still do make some good money from selling things like jewelry and the occasional like influence bases and things like that. And there might be like a few hundred chaos, here and there. But definitely the bulk of my wealth is whenever I decide to liquidate things like map fragments. It's like if I'm deciding I'm not running Shaper at the moment, then selling off all those fragments or selling off scarabs that I'm not interested in using, because maybe, especially now with the new Atlas strategies, maybe I'm like really focused on Legion, but I don't really care about some other mechanic. Maybe I don't care about Delve. I'm literally doing no Delve, so sell off all the sulfite scarabs. People who are delving will pay a mint for those sorts of things. So you can figure out, once you kind of figure out what your strategy is, you can sell off all of the things that aren't related to the strategy. And if you're just pricing like at or slightly below market price, even sometimes slightly above, because usually the first few responders when you do a price check aren't actually like responding, or they're price fixing or some shenanigans. But even if you're just pricing somewhere near the bottom of the market, they'll sell like almost instantly. You only have to experiment with this for a minute to see getting spammed with trade messages to realize how quickly you can sell all of this stuff too. Similarly, you can kind of track this stuff based on your activity in game as well. So if you're like wondering, once you start to get an idea of like, oh, these things are all like worth, a decent amount, but what is kind of like my time earning for me? Like if I'm farming legions, am I getting, a lot of profit from that? You can also track that with your income per hour thing too. It's even got a handy little overlay here. You can like leave up in-game while you're in-game up there. And this will track your income per hours as well. So if you're like Legion farming, you can kind of get an idea of that. Then you can compare it to some other thing you're doing, like maybe you are doing delves, maybe you're doing heists or something like that. And you can track your income per hour and kind of get a bit of an idea of that. Like definitely stick with the stuff you find the most fun and enjoyable and the stuff that, fits well for your build. But still, this can give you a little, at least a rough idea of things that are like working really well for you, because maybe you're doing something that other people say is really profitable. This is something that tricks people a bit. Maybe you're doing something other people say is really profitable, but on your build, it's not actually that good. Whether it's because maybe you're not really popping out all of the legions, or you're taking quite a bit longer to do certain content compared to others. Your character's a really good boss killer, but maybe it's not so good at legions, things like that. This will kind of start to give you a bit of an idea of that after doing it for a few hours. So it's also just really fun. I'll give you a quick tip, because people often get a little bit confused about this part. But to actually like get this running, when you first install this app, if you do decide to give it a little bit of a whirl, you have to log into the Path of Exile website, and then you want to press F12 to bring up application and click application over here to bring out the little inspector. And then you drop down the cookies box. Now I can't do this because it'll throw my session ID, but what you're looking for is the session ID that appears here. You can double click the number, copy, control C it, and then you can control V it into the app to get the app working. So if you're struggling with that, there is some instructions there, but they're a little bit confusing. So I just thought that might be helpful for people that do want to try out Excellence next. But yeah, you have more currency than you think you do. And this is a cute little video just talking about that. Anyway, I was like, thanks for watching.